Now that that pesky Shawn Michaels is taken care of, it's time for Triple H to get his big gold belt back. Isn't it? Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this. It's another episode of 10 years ago. It's your favourite series and it's mine. Tonight, as you can tell by the title, we're going to be looking at Vengeance 2004 from the Raw brand. But before we get into that, I'd like to talk about something that was happening around this time in the WWE. I'd like to talk about it just this one time, and then we'll pretend it never existed, if you like. How's that one sound? Of course, I'm talking about the Diva Search. Oh man, this was going to be such a rant, but this is the toned down version of this, trust me on that one. A talent contest, if you will. They were looking for the next WWE Diva to push for the next 6 months and then abandon. Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? It's got a year's contract and the winner gets $250,000. Sounds good for 5 seconds, doesn't it? And then it rapidly falls apart as, you know, there's some problems become evident. The first one being that I don't want to see this. 2, I especially don't want to see this when I'm watching wrestling. And thirdly, and with this one, you know, the important one in my opinion, of course, the girls who've worked there for years and the girls who've worked hard to get there are gonna fucking love it when some plastic bimbo comes in, shows off her tits and says, hey, give me a fucking year's contract and $250,000. Yeah, but no resentment, no tension in the locker room there. No. A search where the product on offer a search where the product and offer can be seen as low-brow, raise some eyebrows. So good old producer Kevin Dunn said this is a quote in a press release. He said, it's easy to go low-brow. That's not where we're going with our products in general, or this search. We'll be fighting our image for 50 years, because there's 50 years of tradition before us, and we understand that. We want someone who we can put on a pedestal here and who can represent the WWE in a classy, I wouldn't say sophisticated, but in a classy, nice manner. Nice try, Kevin. Starting with a few thousand women, they whittled it down to 28. They then showed a special on Spike where I think Triple H was one of the judges, and they whittled it down to 10 girls. Those 10 girls then had to earn their contracts and the monies by taking part in some of the worst and most bullshit skits ever seen on Raw. Examples are eating pie with The Rock, which doesn't sound too bad, trying to seduce Kamala the Ugandan giant. Sounds awful, doesn't it? They're both as fun as they sound. They play dodgeball, which we'll talk about at SummerSlam, yay. And the Diva Search proved, once and for all, that in the WWE, in the women's division, it's looks that the important thing. None of the girls who came through in the Diva Search were, look, I've been trained to be a wrestler. These are all actresses and models and shit like that. They've got the right look. The thing the company's thinking is that if they've got the right look, we can sort of turn them into a wrestler later on some point. How's that one, Sam? The competition took up time that the fans could be, I don't know, watching wrestling, maybe? You know, there are some awesome things. You know, deep throating squirty cream is always going to be fun time, isn't it? And there was one little bit on the Diva Search that stands out to me something wrong, and that was they had an unscripted diss-off, if you want to call it that, unscripted promos against each other. And women, being women, in my experience, women hate all other women, even their best friends. So I think it was very easy for them to basically, you've got a minute, cut a promo on your opponent. And it must have been so simple for them. Any lingering tension, anything that was wrong, anything that these women could have done, was just edged in front of the world, complete with swearing. Fantastic. The Diva Search was freaking horrible. And what makes it even worse is that they thought not only was it a good idea, but they brought it back again and again and again. And it's one of those crazy things you just go, why is this happening? And the other thing, just before we go on, one more, see, this is what could have happened. I just could have gone and rant. The whole episode's a rant about the Diva Search. Is they end up hiring not only Christy Hemme, who won the whole thing, but most of the supporting cast as well. And then Randy Orton did his best to get rid of them, so that's that. So, It's July the 11th, and we are live with 7,000 fans at the Hartford Civic Centre in Hartford, Connecticut, home of WrestleMania 11, amongst others. Tonight's dark match saw Tyson Tomko squash Val Venus in less than 3 minutes. 0.43 Buyrate equates to roughly 240,000 buys, which is, get this, yeah, 2,000 more than the Great American Bash did last month. I've waffled on for so long. Should we get on with this one, shall we? In the opening contest, Tajiri and Rhino defeating Garrison, Cade and Jonathan Coachman. On paper, this one should be a piece of cake, shouldn't it? I mean, Coach against Rhino, you just think, well, just gore him and be done with it, won't you? This one came about, if you can believe this, because I look at my notes and go, nah, not a chance. This one came about because of a game of musical chairs. Quite why a game of musical chairs was happening on an episode of Raw, the only explanation I can think of is that Eugene must have been guest general manager that night, because there wouldn't just be a game of musical chairs. The point is that Coach pushed Tajiri off a chair so that he could stay in the game. Tajiri did what any babyface, any Japanese babyface would do, be reasonable, and shot green mist in his face. Why not? So the coach offered the challenge, and then on Heat earlier in the evening, I think it was, he went to Bischoff and said, look, instead of having just a one-on-one, why don't we make it a tag match? Or Bischoff said, let's find a mystery partner. So, like I say, Coach chose Garrison, Cade, and Tajiri chose Rhino, which of course means that the look on Coach's face when Rhino comes out is fantastic. So there we go. Triple H fears R.D. Reynolds sign makes me troll. Crowd don't care about this one at all until Coach eats a kick from Tajiri. This allows Cade to take control to silence, and Tajiri plays a face in peril, including scoop slam, double suplex from Coach. He doesn't look bad. Honestly, he really does not look bad out there. You can tell he's taking it seriously. You can tell he's been practicing and training and all that. All his bumps look fine. All his punches look fine. All the offense that he takes looks fine. He does this double suplex with Garrison Cade, and it's perfect. Does a scoop slam, and it all looks fine. Honestly, it does. It just seems, it's the celebrity thing and the backstage person. I find it very hard in wrestling Tajiri is selling for the backstage interviewer. You know? Now this is Tajiri, who could kick the shit out, who could KO Coach with one kick. Dead simple, and he's selling for him, and it seems weird. Anyway, Tarantula leads to a lukewarm tag to Rhino, which leads to a gore for Cade, and then a big kick from Tajers to Coach. Gets the win at 7:30. Okay, tag match, nothing special. But like I say, I give Coach all the credit in the world because he looked alright here. In the back, Evolution talk about Eugene. So Triple H's big plan here was basically Bischoff said to Triple H, like, now that Shawn Michaels is out there, he dealt with Shawn. Went to Bischoff, said, look, dealt with Shawn Michaels, now I get my title shot, yeah? And Bischoff said, yeah, of course you do, as long as you beat up Eugene. And then basically Triple H has concocted this great big plan where he's going to play Eugene off against Evolution and against Benoit. He's trying to convince Eugene that Benoit is bad, Evolution's good, so that he can use Eugene when the time is right, okay? That's lovely, isn't it? So Evolution are trying to say to Hunter, like, why is this guy here? Why is he here? Hunter goes to explain, but when he turns around, he's like, well, where is Eugene? And the Evolution have this funny thing where they argue about who's been babysitting him for the last week, and then they go and find him, and he's talking to Benoit, and basically Benoit is telling him that Hunter is just using him. And Hunter, leaning against the door, sort of peering around, here's the whole thing, where Batista defeating Chris Jericho in a good match, actually. Batista cost Jericho a match for the Intercontinental Championship. After Jericho had eliminated Big Dave in a 6-man elimination tag team match. Big Dave got his revenge, costing Jericho the Intercontinental Championship. Match is all Batista. Jericho gets a big move on, sort of like he does an elbow off the top, but then Batista goes straight back on the offense, full Nelsons or a sidewalk slam. All his offense is on the back, so of course I'm enjoying it. He hits a pair of backbreakers, for example, turn the second one into a submission attempt by holding it down. Jericho escapes and goes for the walls, but it's a massive spine buster for 2. In your own time. We haven't had one for ages. Come on, it's fucking brilliant. Ambulance. Obviously. Jericho escapes and goes to the walls, but he hits a massive spine buster for 2. Jericho is able to counter a bomb into a victory roll for 2, then hits a bulldog and attempts the lion top, but it's countered. Batista wants a clothesline, but Jericho gets an enzuigiri for 2, but a spine buster and the Batista bomb. I went to call it the demon bomb then, that's the Leviathan, idiot. Get the win for the big man at 12-18, even though Jericho's foot was on the ropes. I liked how Jericho seemed to be doing everything in his power to make the big guy look an impressive threat. If that was his intention, it worked like a fucking treat. In my opinion, this match was about 4 minutes too long. That it was going 12, it went 12-18. This one could have gone 8 minutes 18 and achieved the same things. 3 times, but the problem with that is that it's 3 times Batista tried to put a submission move on. 3 times they lost the crowd. The crowd went hot for the whole match, but each time he put a submission move on, it seemed like they're fighting. It's like, dude, stop doing that. Just stick to the power moves. In the back, Evolution talks about Batista's win until Eugene comes in crying because of what Benoit said. Triple H tells him that Benoit is lying to him. And to prove it, he's got a present for him. The present is one of Ric Flair's robes. Hey, there we go. So, next up, speaking of that, La Resistance defeating Eugene and Ric Flair in a meh match. So yeah, as we've mentioned, Eugene is an unofficial member of Evolution. Hunter is trying to use him to get to the championship. Basically, I think it's one of those, Eugene has got so popular in such a short time, you got the impression that Hunter's sort of just gone, well, I'm having a bit of that. Gets him to be the unofficial member, you know. That way, when the time is right and he's at the peak of his popularity, he can fucking squash him. How's that sound? Eugene starts us off with some basics against the champions, then runs through a few of Flair's signature moves, which makes Nate mad. Well, it would make him mad if you didn't spot him on the apron sort of laughing about it. It's quite funny, actually. Flair comes in and shows our order, including liberal woos, and now we go to school, and he puts the figure 4 on. Thing is, he then plays 16-time world champion in peril until Eugene can hulk up and batters the tag team champions, shove the referee and earn disqualification. This match is honestly enjoyable until Ric Flair puts the figure 4 on. Everything after that move is fucking rubbish. Speaking of rubbish, segue. Matt Hardy defeating Kane in a crap match. Night after Bad Blood, Kane attacks Matt Hardy. Lisa comes out and says she'll do anything to stop him. A week later, Matt's getting even more beats. Lisa comes out and says, the thing you asked, the answer is yes. And all the announcers are like, whoa, what's she said yes to? A week later, Lisa reveals she's pregnant. And this makes Matt Hardy the happiest man in the world. And because they've had out of wedlock sex, he thinks he should do the right thing and he should he proposes to her. But before Lisa can say yes, because it looks like she's going to say yes, but before she can say yes, Kane appears on the Tron. Before you say yes, don't you think you should tell Matt the truth? And Lisa's like, what? And Matt's like, what? And it's like, that baby is not mine. I am the father of the baby. And Matt's all, no. And yeah, that's nice. And yeah, so we have a match now. We have a match because there's a baby involved. Now, my first cynical thought, maybe there's a benefit of hindsight to this one, maybe a little bit. My first thought is, cynical wrestling fan in me just goes, how are they going to get out of this one? Lisa's not pregnant, so at some point down the line, they're going to have to do an angle where they get out of this one. That's how this works. Unless it's WCW, where they just abandon the storyline. But yeah. But one more thing before we go on. When Matt Hardy confronts Lisa about this, Lisa says what, in my opinion, is quite possibly the worst thing that she could say in this situation. She said, to try and comfort and placate Matt, who, yeah, by the way, she's had an affair, essentially. She's fucked someone else to protect Matt, admittedly. Her intentions are honourable, but she still had sex with someone, and for all intents and purposes, she could have enjoyed it. We just don't know. Her line is, well, the baby could be yours. Crowd just don't care as Kane batters Matt like the jobber he is, and it's so damn boring. In fact, the crowd chant, we want tables, just to amuse themselves. Matt manages to trap Kane's leg in the ropes and uses a ring bell, complete with ding, as he bounces off his head. That's fun. Then hits a guillotine leg drop. Kane counters the twist of fate, but Matt connects with it a second time, but naturally, because you're a goddamn jobber, Matt, it only gets 2. Chokeslam for Matt, Kane doesn't cover. Instead, like the idiot that he is, he gets the ring steps, and he wants to bash Matt with the ring steps. Lisa comes out, no, please don't do it. And Kane's like, look, just watch what I'm going to do to your boyfriend. This, of course, gives time for Matt Hardy to get a chair and bash the steps into the face and get what looks like a fluke pin. Nice and simple. In the back, Lisa wants to talk to Matt. He tells her to stay away. Matt comes across as super jobber here, in my opinion. Look at the evidence, right? He gets the living snot kicked out of him, right? And then he needs a weapon and his girlfriend's help to beat Kane. You look like a loser, a nobody like you are. Edge defeating Randy Orton in a decent match to win the Intercontinental Champion. Orton's been champion all year. He's got the longest IC title reign in 7 years, as he was very, very, very prone to tell us. He liked on us a lot. Edge's plan, since he came back, is he's going to go through all the members of Evolution. And he's starting with Randy Orton. You can probably imagine that storyline goes absolutely nowhere. Child Trent lets go Orton when the bell goes. WWE officials heard this growing Let's Go Orton love and decided to turn him face. Of course, it's a good 5 months before he should have turned face, but that's more of that another time. First 10 minutes of this match are pretty dull. There's nothing bad, there's just nothing that stands out as memorable. Crowd chants Let's Go Orton again as Edge gets a close near fall off a missile dropkick. 11 minutes in. There is nothing of note at all in the first 10 minutes, trust me. He wants the spear, but it's counted into a backcracker, which gets 2 for Orton. Headlocks are plenty by Orton to use some more time. Move, headlock, rinse and repeat as required. It's nice and simple. Edge finally comes back after a good 5 minutes of headlocks, hitting a dropkick as Orton comes off the ropes. He hits a neckbreaker for a double KO. Russian leg sweep gets 2. Edge counters a superplex, but Orton rolls through a crossbody for 2. Orton exposes a turnbuckle. Then they exchange covers until Edge can get a great near fall off the Impaler DDT. And the crowd are now, after all this time, finally behind Edge. He is dropped face first into the exposed turnbuckle, which gets 2 again. Orton wants the RKO, but it's countered. Spear is countered. RKO is countered into a backslide. Orton is whipped into the turnbuckle, the exposed turnbuckle, and eats a spear, which gets the win for Edge at, it's so long, 26 minutes. The last 6 minutes of this match were very, very entertaining. Good near falls, crowd were hot for them. The 20 minutes beforehand were deathly dull. I mean, properly deathly dull. In my humble opinion, okay, this was a test for Orton. It was we've got plans for this guy. We're going to take the IC title off him. We'll give him the world title very soon, you know. And basically, in my opinion, it was to see, the match was this long to see if he could carry a main event match for as long as it did. In my opinion, he couldn't. It was a decent match. It was way too long, and that headlock, which some people may say is setting up for the RKO because it's weakening down the neck, and if you want to go with that one, that's fine. But yeah, it's just so dull, and it just switches the crowd off completely. In the death spot, Victoria defeating Molly Holly in an alright #1 contenders match. I enjoyed this one, believe it or not. Molly's still sporting her wig. Crowd are hot in the early going, but soon die away as the girls work in some decent psychology as Molly works over the left arm. In fact, all her offense is tailored to the arm and tweaked to the arm, so she does like a handspring does a handspring in the corner, but it's done in such a way that Victoria's actually sideways on, so the impact is all taken on the left shoulder. But the crowd don't give a shit, because why would they give a fuck about psychology? There's a point where you can hear individual insults coming from the crowd. It's that quiet. It's very, very strange. Victoria, to her credit, sells the arm beautifully. When she does a power slam, she does the move. When she does the cover, after Molly kicks out, she makes a point of standing up and shaking the shit out of the arm, get the fucking feeling back into it. I really like that. And then I really like the finish as well, as Victoria goes for the Widow's Peak, and as she gets the move, as she gets Molly up in the right position, the left arm gives out. So Victoria, in one of those comments, hits a really nice super kick, and the pop that gets, because it's a, oh damn, sort of thing. That's what gets the win. Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was, but the lack of crowd noise really hurt this one. In the main event, is it time for the belt to come home? No, it's not. Chris Benoit defeating Triple H in a decent match to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. The entire build-up package to this match, the entire thing focuses on Eugene. The world title is secondary here. No comment. After some nice chain wrestling, Benoit wants the crossface. Hunter quickly counters and they brawl on the outside. Inside, Hunter gets a high knee and takes control, working the chest and back of Benoit, working the midsection, should we say, of Benoit. Benoit is able to whip Hunter into the ring steps, but misses the diving headbutt when they go back inside. Hunter gets a reverse drop suplex for 2. He enjoyed it so much that he does it again, then puts on a surfboard stretch, which is a lovely little touch. If you've had the whole match, you've been working, the guy's been working your chest, been working your back, put on the surfboard stretch, arms out behind you, must be torturous. In kayfabe, that feels like your whole chest is being ripped open, doesn't it? Fan-bloody-tastic. We really like that. Benoit tries to counter into one of his own, so Triple H hip tosses his way out and locks on a main event sleeper. Benoit counters again into one of his own. Sharpshooter's countered, as is the pedigree. Sharpshooter works to big noise. When Hunter escapes, Benoit follows up with rolling Germans. Benoit wants another diving headbutt, so Triple H bails. Benoit says fuck that and hits an absolutely fantastic suicide dive. It's, in fact, if anything, it's too good because he overshoots a little bit, and in midair, he sort of realised, like, oh, this one's going to hurt. So he tries to shift his body weight in midair, admittedly, and he goes back first onto the railings. That was really, really nasty. Benoit stops on the chest, which bothers me. Ref is bumped. Crossface is counted into a DDT. Hunter calls Eugene out to the ring, obviously. Out he comes. Benoit tries to tell him to wake the referee up, and he's all confused, especially when Benoit puts the crossface on. He's like, wake the referee up, wake the referee up. Hunter's tapping now, so Eugene, because Hunter's his best mate, gets up on the apron, so Benoit does what anyone would do and whacks him off the apron. Get the fuck off here. Oh dear. Benoit bashes the chair into Hunter's face. Evolution out to eat some Benoit chair shots. Hunter gets the chair. Benoit does the only thing that you can do when your opponent's got a chair and there's no referee. He goes low. Eugene has the chair. He can't decide who to hit. So Benoit grabs the chair and they have a little tug of war, and you can probably guess where this one goes. Oh, 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 oh. Benoit just calmly lets go of it, and Eugene just goes bash right into the middle of Triple Hunter's face. Fantastic. Really like that. Benoit lets go, like I say. Oh, and then just a nice simple roll-up, believe it or not, gets the win at 29 minutes and 5 seconds. Good match. Didn't like the Eugene stuff, and they're using this match to promote the fact they're going to do Eugene versus Triple H at SummerSlam, which is all kinds of wrong. It's like I say at the start, you know, it felt like the title was second best. It was just not, you know, it's like, oh yeah, there's the titles here as well, by the way. So yeah, good match. It was all right. Many expected Triple H to get his big belt back that night, so this was a big shock that Chris Benoit retained. You've got 3 good matches. You've got 3 matches that, well, they're all right matches. Jericho and Batista, Orton versus Edge, Triple H versus Benoit. I actually rated them all the same, 2.5 stars. So they're not even go out of your way to see them. If you haven't seen this pay-per-view, I really can't. There's nothing on it that I can say to you, you really need to go and see this. There's nothing like that. So it's like 3.5, 4 out of 10 if you're feeling particularly nice. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, next episode in 10 years ago will be SummerSlam 2004. Please join me for that. Hit that like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Leave me a lovely comment down below. I have been Mark P. This has been 10 years ago, and I'll see you all very soon. Take it easy, guys.